Hey folks, this is Haas from GNAT News. Today we're in Sandgate, Vermont, and we're going to do an artist profile, and we're going to talk to two of my favorite artists.
Mallory Rich.
And Harry Rich.
So let's get to it.
I am primarily a landscape painter. I paint in the representational mold. This painting was done on site. Artists call it en plein air. It was painted at Cape Cod in Truro, and it was late in the afternoon, and I was struck by the light on the taller marsh grass and the water in the foreground, as well as being able to see way back across the field some interesting activity, but mainly it was a backdrop. What really caught my eye was the movement and light of the marsh grass. And that's what I try to show. No matter what I'm painting, it's something I've seen and been struck by, been moved by in some way. I don't go for a detailed representation of the scene. I don't try to show you every blade of grass, for example, but I do try to show the reaction, the feeling I got being there.
How long have you known each other?
38 or 9 years.
Back
a long,
to the Ice
long
Age,
time.
something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
So,
Can't you tell?
so now you know her really well. So
Yes.
when you look at her paintings, can you see what you know about her now in all of her paintings? And if
Yes.
so, what ways?
Yes. I mean, it's obviously more complicated than we can talk about here, but she's a very literal person. She's very direct. She's very responsive to aesthetic things, and she's almost always honest. For all I know, always honest.
Right.
And that comes, all those qualities and other good qualities come out in her painting.
Right.
And the purity, if that's not too extreme, of herself having the courage to go ahead and try to make this painting. People don't understand that you don't just bang these out.
Yeah.
It takes a whole lot of internal character to get up the nerve to do these things, and then to put them out in the public, excuse me, where you're going to be judged. It's like putting your guts out there.
Right.
It takes some nerve to do that, or some self-confidence, and she has both of those. And
You don't have to keep talking about it.
well,
But if it gets an award or something, you should keep going. It never hurts. You build up,
well,
let me ask you this. So, could you ever see your wife doing an abstract? Or would that be so against who she is that you go, wow, I'm surprised you just did that?
Yeah, she may disagree with me here, but I think she probably will never do it. She might fool around with the idea of turning a landscape into an abstract landscape, but I don't think it will ever go, that urge, that particular abstract urge will ever go deeply into her makeup so that it will express itself on the canvas.
Yeah,
If you were just seeing his work for the first time, would you, this is a slightly different question. Notice would you say, that's an interesting fellow? Would you say, wow, that could be a serial killer?
I would say I want to meet this guy.
So tell me
Because
about...
she has a death wish.
No.
You look
have
at his
to be
work.
quiet so I can talk.
Yeah, it's her turn.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, the discipline. He's a creature of self-discipline. He determined many years ago what he saw for himself in an art career or in a life, and he spends X amount of time every day in the studio painting, and he always has. but there's also a romanticism, a sensitivity to color and light, and a curiosity. I mean, I think the disciplined space he creates allows the curiosity to really bloom.
Would you be
There's
surprised?
an emotional response that I get to his paintings.
Right, right.
And I think most people do.
Would you be surprised if he suddenly switched to your style?
I'd be disappointed. He'd be wasting his time.
Right.
I once, as a game, I made a little landscape,
Yeah.
and I showed it to her. She said, "That's the worst goddamn painting I've ever seen." So I'm a little hesitant to go that way.
You know, there should be a little encouragement, right? Like there's that
You would-
hamburger concept.
you would think,
a little
yes.
encouragement, a little bring down. Art in public spaces. And I'd like you to tell what's going on because something big is just happening. Is it big to you? I mean, I don't know. You guys may have done so many things that you go,
No,
it's
it's a
just
big
another
deal.
day at the park for us.
It's a very big deal.
All right, will you
it's
tell
a very
us?
big deal.
Will you tell us about it?
His art was discovered by Vermont Supreme Court Justice Marilyn Skoglund. She is the brains and brawn behind the wonderful art gallery that she created in the Supreme Court building. Harry was asked by Justice Skoglund to have a solo show in the Vermont Supreme Court, and it opened the first weekend in July, and it's up until the last weekend in September. And it's a big honor. It's a very big honor. 3 months.
Well, yeah, and the unique thing is, for me anyway, is that she's an ex-painter herself when she was young, and somehow wound up being a Supreme Court justice and female. And she's a marvelous person.
She changed her medium. She changed her medium.
Yes, she did change her medium. She would like that.
Yeah.
But she has decided to only show Vermont artists and only of that group abstract artists. And what's good about that is there aren't that many venues in Vermont, serious venues, where they will make a commitment to that sort of thing. So I'm especially happy to find a little home up there. And the building itself is magnificent. I'm an abstract painter, obviously. I have been for 60 years, and I haven't begun to scrape the surface of where this kind of work, this kind of abstract thinking can take me. And that's really what gets me out here every day to work, and what brings me out in the evening with a martini perhaps, to see if I've screwed things up during the daytime. Literal art or representational art, like such as Norman Rockwell's, whom I love, still love, always loved, is popular, among other things, because of the literalism, the storytelling in his painting. My storytelling is also here and literal. It's just not images. It's not things you can identify, a cat, a dog, a man. The literalness of this is what the paint is doing. I don't expect anyone to get what I get from this painting. Everyone who looks at this painting will find something different if they look carefully. And that's a key. They have to look carefully. They can't stand back and play impressionism and hope it'll all come together and blah, blah. They have to get right up to the way that I'm working, 6 inches from the canvas, and examine it the way a forensic researcher would examine something. Examine it, and everyone will find that they find a little something different than everyone else. And this, of course, is the payoff for the public reason for doing it. Otherwise, it's just pure selfishness. A priest once told me I couldn't be a painter if I was going to get married because it was too selfish. Well, what I've just said, I think, gets rid of that negative idea, because you can be a painter and still be ethical and do the things that you believe, in fact, as corny as it might sound, we're born to do.
Let's talk about death.
Love it.
Okay, so I guess we should use my dad as an example. I have a feeling this is going on all over America, maybe all over the world. And what happens is you have a parent who is an artist. And like most artists, maybe they didn't sell all their work in their lifetime.
Yeah.
So when they died, they left you with these wonderful, beautiful works of art. Some are small, some are really big. Mm-hmm. and you wonder, what should I do if when I'm getting near death and I've got a house filled of stuff, what do I tell my kids? What do I do? I'm just kind of curious. What the hell are you going to do?
Check your insurance and burn the house down. And the studio.
Wait,
and
we
all
got
the
to
work.
take that off camera. Go ahead.
Do you want to respond first?
Obviously,
or me?
you've thought of this. So.
Well, we think about it. Of course we think about it, but I haven't come to any conclusion. I'm just assuming my children will like some of my paintings and will come and take a few.
I mean, in your question is really the answer, because and that is, there is no answer to that unless you're independently wealthy or find a collector or that has deep pockets,
Or a dealer.
or that you have a dealer, a gallery that is sufficiently committed to your work, financially committed, career committed, their clients committed, that they will then take you on, take your estate on, which is of course the best way to have it all happen. But that's somewhat rare. Another thing a relatively unknown artist can do that don't have a big time New York gallery or whatever, is to auction, and that's not a completely bad idea.
Right.
If you hook up with an auctioneer that specializes in selling collections of art, you give up at least 50% or maybe more of the value of whatever sells. But it's a way of getting it out there and not having to burn it down when you burn your house down.
In both our cases, our children seem to value our art.
Right.
So, and I think they will be thrilled to have the opportunity to have some of Harry's art, for example. Right. He holds it kind of close right now. But, I mean, we'll just have to leave it up to them. We'll tell them they're not responsible for its the successful distribution of it.
Yeah. As I said,
that is maybe selfish, but we're going to, as you said, we're going to continue to make art.
I do think a public auction
For whatever
is
they
probably
could
the
get.
most civilized way
That makes sense.
to solve this problem. But yeah, it's a
Teaming up with a
marvelous
charity
question.
or
It's like the best questions. It's like, what is art? It
Can't answer.
It can't be answered.
Can't
And
answer.
your question is that profound.
It cannot
be answered.
Right.
And just imagine all the suffering the kids go through, and the grandkids and whomever, lovers or whoever, trying to deal with this problem and never being able to deal with it properly.
Right.
And we're talking about probably 90% of all artists.
That's
the
what
work
I believe
of all
too.
artists.
Yeah,
I believe
yeah.
it's huge. It's a
It's a
huge number.
problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bill. I appreciate you taking the time.